Hi, this is Amani Saduddin from Appify Lab. Welcome back to another video in the Flutter E-commerce app UI design tutorial series. In this video, I'm going to be continuing building our UI. In the last video, we had done this much. So underneath this images list view, we have a section called Grooming Products, which is also another horizontal list view consisting of cards, each of which can be considered as a column. The first element is a row with the icon button, a text, and then we have an image, then we have this horizontal divider, then we have a text, then we have this rating bar, we have the number of views. Continued is we have the price, the actual price, and the offer price. To get this coded, I've taken a container and I've added comments. Now let's give this container some height and color so that it can be visible. Notice that this container isn't visible, but there's no overflow, then there's no problem with it. We can scroll down and see it. That's because I had wrapped it with a single child scroll view in the previous video. If you haven't watched it yet, then go have a look. Now let's add in some padding to the container. Let's pass in its child. That's going to be a column. Inside this column, we have few containers. The first one's going to be the text saying grooming products. Say child, text, grooming products. Let's give this text some style. Okay, this has come to the center. Let's align it. Let's align this container to the top left. I'm going to use the alignment property of container and say alignment dot, and we have the options. Let's choose top left. Okay, and we've got it aligned right. Next, I've taken a container and I'll pass a list view builder to it, which will return as this card. This container will take in a column as its child, and this column has the first child as a row. I'm wrapping it in a container. Passing in the row. This row is going to take two containers, one for the icon button and one for the text. And this one's for the text. Let's add in the icon button. Here we have it. I've changed the color. Okay. So probably we're facing some error. That's because I haven't wrapped this list view builder in an expanded container. When we are using columns and list views, we need to be careful. So let me wrap it in expanded. Now we see the icon. Let's move on to adding the text. Now let's add some style to our text. Then let's move on to adding a background and a corner radius to this container. I've used the container's decoration property to add a border radius of 5 and add the color. To make this color visible, let me change the container's color. Let's say blue. This is just so that it's visible. Okay, now let's add some padding to this container so that it appears better. Moving on, let's add this image to the card. That I'll take another container. I'll give it a height of around 100 and pass in the image. So notice that we have got this image beside the text. That's because I've put it inside the row where it should be outside of the row. So let's cut it from here and paste it outside the row. Now notice it appear in the right position. Let's add some margin and padding to the container to make it look more appealing. Here we go. And let's space these elements of the row equally. I'll again use the main axis property of the row. I'm going to say main axis alignment dot space between so that they take enough space. We see no change because we haven't defined any width for the container. So let's define a width. Let's add a color to make it look better. Color is dot white. Now let's add some margin to this row. And then let's move on. After the image, we need to add the divider. So let's start coding it. It's a container. And this gets a height of 1 pixel and a width of around 80 pixels. Then let's give it a color so that it's visible. Pre 200. And you see we've got it. So let's increase the width. I'm going to almost double it. Okay, that's taking up too much space, so let me make it smaller. Okay, looks perfect. Let's move on. Next, we have to add the name of the product and the ratings. For the text, I've taken a container over here. Let's give it a child, a text. Now let's resize it using the font size property. Then let's give a margin around the text. Let's have a look at the design. Okay, looks better. Next we have this row of icons and this number text. For the row, I've taken a new container. Let's pass its child, the row. Give it children. So our row will have two containers, one for the star icon and one for the text. This one's going to be for the icon. So let's pass in the icon. icons dot star. Let's style it. We need to pick the color from here. Let's resize it to suppose 15. Now that's too small. Let's make it a little bigger. Say 17. So I'm going to paste this again. And the fifth one's going to be a grayish color. Colors.gray. Okay, let's make it a little lighter. Let's give this row some margin at the left. Engine sets only, and towards the left, let's give a margin of around 10 pixels. Okay, now let's add in the text. Let's take another container for the text. Child is going to be a text. So let's see 1743. Now let's style this text a little, make it smaller and change its color. So we have a color of gray. Let's make it smaller. Let's give it a size of around 11. Okay, let's go check the design. Okay, maybe we could make it a little darker. Let's say gray 600. Now that's too dark. 500 would do probably. And let's give it a margin towards its left. Say 10. Okay, we need some margin at the top as well. Let's say 5. Okay, now this will be for the row. Let's go up. Add some margin at the top. There we are, looks better. Now we need to add the price. To add this, we'll need another container that takes in a row. Let me remove this. Okay, now inside this row, we'll have two containers, one for the actual price and one for the discounted price. Let's add in the text. Okay, I'm going to copy this over here and paste it here. This will be say 1900. Should be the child. Okay, this should be below the row. So let's cut it from here and put it outside this container. Okay, now we've got our text position right. Let's add the rupees tag here. And we need to style our text. Text style. Let's make the font size smaller. Okay, now this one's perfect. This one should be smaller. Let's copy it here. Paste it here. Missing a comma. Okay. Let's make the size smaller. Say 18. Now that's grown bigger. Let's take a size of 12. And let's pass in a color. Gray. Color is dark gray. Let's take a shade of 300. This is too light, so just let's use gray. Now we need to add a strike through, which we'll achieve using the decoration property of textile. Will be text decoration dot strike through. Dot line through. And we've got the strike. Now let's add some container to the let's add some margin and padding to our containers. Give the row some margin in different directions. And we'll add some padding for this text. At the top and at the left. And left 10. Okay, so I've given too much of top padding. Let's decrease it. Okay, now it looks aligned better. Maybe 2 would look a little more better. That's it, we are done. Let's check out the design. Okay. So now that we have got all the elements on screen, let's remove this color, add some merging to the container. We add some margin. Let's increase the item count. You can pass in different images and text by taking lists as I had shown you previously for this row. Next, let me decrease the size of this text. I'll make this 10 and this one 12. Let's make it smaller. Let's say 10. And another hot reload. We'll be good to go. That's it, we are done.